Hey, welcome to Freshwater IQ Ninja School. I'm not a real ninja, just so you know. But we are going to have a conversation about 4 or 5 things to help you get off to the best possible start with Freshwater IQ. Sorry, that was not very ninja-like. I think I hit myself. Hey, Kevin, thanks for the headband. We know this. Freshwater IQ is now on the floor more than ever. More conversations are happening. Wanted to give you just a few sound bites to consider to help the process. We want to talk a little bit about discovery ideas. We want to talk a little bit of how you describe this Freshwater IQ. Also, how this thing really works for the customer. A couple thoughts there, as well as really giving clear expectations to the customer of what it is, but also what it's not, so they can feel really good about choosing appropriately. Now, all that said, let's start with this idea of discovery. Here's what we know. Good discovery is always learning things before you just start blabbing things. You ever caught yourself in that, where you start talking only to later realize, oh gosh, I missed that one? That's why it's important we continue down the path of what have they heard, what do they know, what do they learn, what are their thoughts, so we can again draw things out specifically as it relates to water. A great question to ask though early on is, I got to ask you, who's going to be taking care of the hot tub? And by the way, what's your personal experience taking care of hot tub water? And followed from that is, I really would love, what are your true thoughts or maybe concerns about that whole idea? Again, whether they've had experience or not, draw that out of them and it gives you a better foundation. Another thing to do, extra credit, is to ask them simply, based on, for your family, how would you describe, because there's a lot of different directions we can go water-wise, water that would be really optimal for you guys, based on either experiences, positive or negative. How would you describe that water? Get that kind of information out and you've got yourself a great foundation. Yeah. Now, onto the topic of, sorry, I'm cracking myself up here. How might we describe what this is? Here is a key thing to recognize. First off, we always need to make sure that they have already said yes to freshwater salt before we bring in the smart monitoring system. Obviously, it's a critical component. They have to have this to get this. So what is Freshwater IQ? Well, it's the pairing of the freshwater salt system with a smart monitoring system that actually what? Tests, diagnoses, and recommends what you need to have optimal water. Clear and concise. And by the way, what that means in a bigger picture is it gives people a fresher, gentler, more natural approach, free from a lot of the manual testing and guessing and how much and what and when. Again, an experience that totally changes the next 20 years of your interaction and usage of your hot tub. I love what Scott Greer said recently. He said, Scott, this is just like GPS for your water. He likened it to the travel app called Waze, which of course is great for getting to your destination safely, efficiently, but also avoiding some of the hazards that are typically in the road. So all that to say, there's only one destination in mind with this freshwater salt and smart monitoring system. It's optimal water and an experience that's far different for the next 20 years. So in this conversation about how this works for the customer, I think what we want to draw out is, look, there's certainly the need for testing and you're going to still be doing some testing, but what this provides is just great peace of mind. What I mean by that is it is going to continuously monitor and test for the 3 most important things for you to have optimal water. And what are those 3 things? Well, it's salt level, it's pH, and your chlorine. And in doing so, only if necessary, this system will then message you or prompt you exactly what to do to adjust to make sure you have that optimal water. Again, this is the only system that has this smart monitoring system built into a hot tub. In fact, this is all new to world technology. Can I call timeout? Did you know this has been in process for over 10 years, right? And it didn't just involve the Watkins Wellness engineering team. It also involved the Masco engineering team. Oh, by the way, also the University of Michigan engineering team. to create something that literally has answered the number one request, whether you've owned a spa or not. How can you make this make sense? By the way, can I tell you a quick story? Mike McKaig, one of our principal engineers on this product, invited a number of executives into the lab. He gave them all a bottle of test strips and then something to dip, one single source to dip their strips in. And as they dipped, he had them all make a reading and then write down secret ballot what their readings were for each of those areas. By the way, every one of the executives had a different number reading. Oh, by the way, and to Mike's, I think, joy, all of them were wrong. Meaning what? This is more approximate. This would be like a GPS that says, turn sometime, add something, maybe, versus clear, concise, direct. That's what's beautiful about Freshwater IQ. So one of the most important things for anybody to have a great experience, it's always based on what their expectations of the experience were. Now, please hear me. If someone believes something is like, yeah, set it, forget it, don't do anything, and then there's something they have to do, it is not a good experience. So what we want to do is make it really clear about what this system is designed to do, as well as what it's not designed to do. So that's all on us being super clear. So how do we do this? Hey, I just want to be really clear with you. In fact, let me set this up, what it will do and what it won't do, because what it will do, it's unbelievable. It continuously is going to be monitoring and testing your water for several things. The first thing it's going to be testing for is the health and life of your freshwater salt cartridge. In fact, these cartridges should last between 3 to 4 months, but it's going to tell you exactly how it's doing in its journey. Oh, by the way, it's also going to be testing and monitoring the lifespan of your monitor. That monitors the water. And by the way, this will last 1 year, and it will show you exactly when it's time to replace it. Now, here's the other cool part, and we've talked about this before, but it's very clearly, it will absolutely pay attention to the 3 most important things for you to have optimal water: your pH, your salt, and your chlorine. And that will be done every hour, and then give you recommendations as needed. Now, that said, let me also make it really clear what it will not do. What it will not do is make the adjustments for you. You still have to add the product and make the adjustment to the system. On the other hand, this also will not test for alkalinity or hardness. Those are things that you also will need to test and adjust for. Thirdly, this stuff will not last forever, right? This you replace every 3 to 4 months. This you replace every year. But I'll tell you what, for everything this does, sure gives an amazing experience. Just what are your thoughts so far on Freshwater IQ? There you have it. It's just that simple. Now look, I realize there's far more things we could talk about. Let me give you the last 3 just briefly. Number 1, discover early, find out what they know, always learn about their experience with water. Secondarily, always make sure that you have appropriately sold them into salt first. You feel solid there before you bring this in. And thirdly, yes, we want to draw out their true thoughts on how they really feel about the system, but I think more importantly, out of our exuberance, make sure that they are comfortable also with the product and the price range we've landed them. So in some cases, you may need to give yourself a little wiggle room to be able to move them to a different system if that is needed for them to move forward comfortably today. Hey, we're excited about what's ahead. Ninja on, family. Thanks again for taking time.